So good afternoon everybody. Last topic was fiscal federalism. So we have discussed the distribution of taxes between center and states. Now next topic is finance commission. Second is finance commission. Okay, so I told you as a part of federal polity in India, the prime source of income of any government is taxes. So taxes have been divided between center and states. So I have discussed the list how which taxes have been given to center and which taxes have been given to state. Now whatever taxes given to states are not sufficient. So that is why there is a provision that center should transfer some funds to states, and which is the main body which give recommendation over transfer of funds, how much state center should transfer to states. That is finance commission. And provision is made in constitution, to as per which article it is set up. So obviously all of you must have idea article 280. So you may mention one line on this as per article 280. As per article 280 of the constitution, it is the duty of the president. It is the duty of the president to constitute a finance commission. It is the duty of the president to constitute a finance commission within 2 years from the commencement of the constitution. Within 2 years from the commencement of the constitution. And thereafter every 5 years. And thereafter every 5 years. Okay, so as per article 280, it is the responsibility of President of India to constitute a finance commission. Okay, it is a constitutional duty of President of India. And initially it was within 2 years from the commencement of constitution. Do you know in which year constitution commenced? So all of you must have idea, in 1950. So it has to be set up by 1952. So government set up first finance commission in 51 itself. Okay, so first finance commission set up in 1951 itself. Okay, because as per this article, by within 2 years from 50, it has to be set up. And who was chairman of first finance commission? Mr. K.C. Nyogi. Mr. K.C. Nyogi was chairman. And thereafter, it is to be set up after every 5 years. Okay, after every 5 years or earlier if required. Also mention, please write down this also. Thereafter, every 5 years or earlier if required. Okay, or earlier if required is also mentioned in Article 280. Thereafter, every 5 years or earlier if required. When it may be required? It may be required if there may be any change in the federal structure of the constitution, that may be required. Okay, or if there may be some kind of dispute on a particular finance commission's recommendation, some ambiguity, then may be set up earlier. Okay, so if there may be requirement, then government may constitute it even before 5 years. Now, what are functions of finance commission? And as you know before that, who is one chairman and 4 members? So what is qualification of chairman? So chairman is, person having experience in public finance. Okay. Experience in public finance. And members are 4. Okay, so 4 members, overall 5. So 1 plus 4. So 4 members, the qualification in polity you might have discussed, I have shared on notes also, person having experience in public finance, just like chairman, and 3 more qualifications are there. Person having expertise in finance and administration. Okay, so finance and administration maybe in private sector. And third is special knowledge of economics. 4th is High Court or Supreme Court judge or qualified to be. Okay, so these are qualifications for chairman and members. Now, what are functions of any finance commission? So 3 functions. So first is that distribution of shareable taxes of center between center and states. So write down first point. To recommend distribution to recommend distribution of central shareable taxes. Central distribution of central shareable taxes between center and states. In bracket, vertical devolution. Vertical devolution. Okay, so distribution of central shareable taxes between center and states, in bracket vertical devolution. And share of each state, and share of each state, share of each state in the state's share of taxes, in the state's share of taxes. Okay, share of each state in the state's share of taxes. This is called horizontal devolution. Horizontal devolution. Okay, I will explain. For example, as for 15th Finance Commission, I told you the share of state among the central shareable taxes will be how much? 41%. I have told you in previous lecture. Okay, distribution of central shareable taxes between center and state. Okay, how much center should transfer? So it means that center should transfer how much? Let us suppose this is center and these are states. Okay, so 41% of tax revenue has to be transferred. This is vertical devolution from center to states. Now out of 41, now second one is horizontal. Now which state should get how much? Like how much UP, how much MP, how much West Bengal, how much Bihar, okay, etc. will get. So what should be share of each state in this 41%? This is share of each state in the state share of taxes. So state share of taxes is this 41%. Okay, so how much to be given in among these states? So two things are there. First, I repeat once more, कि how much center should transfer to state, that is vertical devolution from above to below. And then how it will be shared. And this certainly should not be shared equally, because some states are too small, some are too big, so we cannot give equal money to like UP and Goa, because Goa is small, Sikkim is small, so we cannot give same money to Sikkim and UP. So Sikkim is very small state, or Goa is also relatively small as compared to UP, MP, Maharashtra, Bihar, etc. They are big states. Okay, so this is one is vertical devolution, other horizontal devolution. One recommendation. Second, center, this Finance Commission give recommendation for transfer of funds in two forms. What are those forms? One form is share in taxes. Second is grants. So second point, write down, to recommend principles governing grant in aids to the states. Principles governing grant in aids to the states. So grant in aid simply means grant. Okay, aid means assistance. Assistance in the form of grant. Okay, so how much grant should be given to states? Which state should get how much grant? Okay, so two ways of fund devolution as per Finance Commission. One is share in taxes and second is grants. Clear? And third function. Third function is was added later for municipalities and panchayats. So mention to recommend measures to augment. Augment means strengthen. AUGMENT. Augment means strengthen. Consolidated funds of states. To augment consolidated funds of states. To supplement resources of panchayats. To supplement resources of panchayats and municipalities. To supplement resources of panchayats and municipalities. To resources of panchayats and municipalities. Okay, I repeat once more. To recommend measures to augment consolidated funds of states. To supplement resources of panchayats and municipalities. So in simple words, how center should means how the panchayats and municipalities should get adequate resources. So it was not the original function. It was added after 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment in 1992. You must have idea. So after in 1992 it was added after the 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment. Okay, so it is added later. It was added later in 92 after this Panchayati Raj Act was passed. And one more, fourth. So next point, to recommend any other matter. To recommend any other matter referred to it by the president. Referred to it by the president. Any other matter referred to it by the president. Okay, to refer to it by the president in the interest of sound finance. In the interest of sound finance. Mainly related with any other matter related to government finance in simple words. So any other matter referred to it by the president in the interest of sound finance. Okay, so four functions are there. So every finance commission has to give recommendation on these four things. Okay, first is that what should be, how much center should transfer to states, and then what should be share of each state. Okay, horizontal vertical devolution and taxes. Okay, Acha Shivam Pathak, you have mentioned is the sharing based on contribution of taxes by states. So Shivam means, you mean to say if tax revenue is collected more from Maharashtra, so Maharashtra should get more money. So it means whatever tax revenue is collected. So you know, Shivam, very simple logic. Acha, first of all, now other people give me answer of this. So do you think on the basis of common sense, should it be given to states on the basis of common sense? So whichever state is giving more tax revenue should get more money, and state giving less revenue should get less money. So should it be based on that, yes or no? Should it be based on that or not? Shivam, just give me answer this thing. So Shivam, you have asked, is the sharing based on contribution of taxes by states? So should it be based on the how much tax collected from UP? UP will get that. How much collected from MP? MP will get that. Should it be based on that, yes or no? So obviously answer is obviously no. There is no logic in this statement. The reason is that if this is there, then why there is a need for recommendation? Government already has data. How much we have collected from UP? UP will get that much money. How much from MP? MP will get that much money. So then they would need not require any formula. Simple logic is that if more taxes, whatever taxes are collected from a particular state, that should be given to that. So why there is a need for finance commission? We already have data how many taxes we have revenue we have collected from UP, from MP, etc. So the government will return back, center will return back. So then no need for finance commission. It should be very simple. So answer is obviously no. But some of you have given answer yes. It is very illogical. Then if this should be there, then no need for finance commission. Center already has data whatever revenue we have collected from UP will give to UP. Whatever we have collected from MP, return it to MP. So then what is need for finance commission? Very simple logic. Just try to think over this. Why there is a need for finance commission? So obviously answer is no here. So actually finance commission gives money on the basis of need. Got the point? It is not that we have collected more revenue from Maharashtra, so Maharashtra should get more. No, it has nothing to do with that. What is the meaning of nation? There should be equality. Okay, social justice should be there in the country. So it is not at all dependent on the how much revenue is collected from which state. Okay, so whatever is the revenue, let us suppose 100 crore is the revenue of center. I'm giving an example. So 41% will be 41 crore will be given to states. Now the distribution is based on need of a state. Need in the sense a state which is big area, more population, and poor state should get more. Okay, I will discuss the criteria for this. Ajay Shivam, what you mentioned? So there will be no motivation to states for huge tax collection. Yes, it may be, means it will not give incentive as such. We cannot say there will not be any motivation to collect more taxes, because if a state will collect more taxes, it will also benefit directly. If a state will collect more tax revenue, it will collect, so you mean to say it is not that means this will not incentivize directly as such. Okay, so Mansi, what you mentioned, it will not be same means So Mansi, you mentioned said you will it not be same for UP and Goa. Then why that difference? To Mansi, you mean to ask why there's discrimination? Why Sikkim or Goa is getting less and UP is getting more? So why there is discrimination? So just give me answer of Mansi one question. Do you think the money should be equally divided among all states? Just give me answer, yes or no. Just Mansi, only you. Do you think government should give equal money to a big state like UP and a small state like Goa or maybe Sikkim or northeast states? Every state should get equal money. On the basis of common sense, just give me answer, only Mansi you. Yes or no? Is it logical? So obviously answer is very illogical. How we can give a same amount to a large state and a small state? So for large state it will be negligible. So certainly I'm coming to that criteria. Okay, so these are 4 functions of any finance commission. Now one more thing here, whenever government, now you have understood Mansi, obviously logic is no, how we can give equal money to all states, because some are large, some are small. Okay, now I will discuss criteria in 15th Finance Commission. Next thing is that, whenever government set up any committee or commission, so do you think government should make it clear on which issues it has to give recommendation? Yes or no? So government fixes a domain, because if government will set up a committee, then committee may start recommending anything, any issue. Got the point? Yes or no? So obviously it is possible. So for that government confines limit. You have to give recommendation only on that thing. Do you know what is that called? What is the term for that? When government set up a committee, in that committee or commission, government actually fixes the, a boundary. It has to give recommendation on that. Can anybody give me name of that term? What is that called? So that is called terms of reference. So whenever any committee or commission is set up, so there are terms of reference. Okay. So if you see terms of reference, terms of reference means the domain within which the finance commission or any committee has to give recommendation. So if you see terms of reference of any finance commission, these are exactly 4. These are 4. Okay. So just for example, I will give you idea about 15th Finance Commission. 15th Finance Commission. Latest is 15th Finance Commission. So what are terms of reference? Terms of reference. Okay, terms of reference mean what? Means the domain within which it has to give recommendation. Means the issues on which it has to give recommendation. Okay, terms of reference means, so it should be clear if you will see terms of reference of any finance commission, so can we say these will be terms of reference, it has to give recommendation on these things? Yes or no? Give me answer. Terms of reference will be same or not? Yes or no? By and large. So answer is yes. 1, 2 and 3 are exactly same. This is cut paste from Article 280. Okay, so every finance commission is given this terms of reference. It has to give recommendation how much should be the share of a state and how it is to be distributed among each state. So first is exactly same, cut paste from Article 280. Second is principles governing grant in aid, exactly cut paste from Article 280. And to supplement resources of panchayat, exactly cut paste from this Article 280. Okay, so this is as such exactly just like based on Article 280. Okay, these are mentioned in Article 280. Okay, so first 3 are exactly same. Now what about 4? 4 is any other matter. Now any other matter may vary from finance commission to finance commission. So like 14th Finance Commission. What are any other matter mentioned in this terms of reference? To write down few examples, like first 3 are exactly same. I'm talking about terms of reference on which thing 15th Finance Commission has to give recommendation. So first 3 are exactly same. Now fourth. Fourth one is very general. That is measures to improve fiscal situation of center and states. One is very simple. It is there always. Very general. So A we can say measures to improve fiscal situation of center and states. Usually it is mentioned in almost all finance commissions. So measures to improve fiscal situation of center and states. Okay, how fiscal situation of how the central government, state government can increase their tax revenues, how they can reduce their expenditures, how they can reduce their deficits. That is always mentioned. Okay, very general. It is mentioned in all. Now, other recommendation, other important terms of reference of this Finance Commission was that the central government asked this Finance Commission to suggest measures to incentivize states to achieve some desirable outcomes. Okay, so next point you mentioned, measures to incentivize states. Measures to incentivize states to achieve some desirable outcomes. Measures to incentivize states to achieve some desirable outcomes like improving ease of doing business, okay, comma, controlling population growth, comma, increasing the coverage of GST, means GST should be covered, more funds should be covered under GST, increasing the coverage of GST, comma, pollution control, etc. So measures to incentivize states. What does mean? It should give some suggestion so that states which will do these good things, they should be given incentive in the form center should transfer more funds to them. Okay, so it has given recommendation like those states which will do these things like reduce population growth or they should improve ease of doing business, etc. They should be given more funds. Okay, so this is one important terms of reference. Regarding GST, government, because GST, so next point is government asked this to asked this commission to recommend shall we continue GST compensation cess after 2022, because GST compensation cess for 5 years 17 to 22, so shall it be extended and what structural changes should be made in GST. So just mention general means recommendations on recommendation on the further reform of GST, further reforms of GST, how GST should be further reformed. So it gives some recommendations on GST, and on GST compensation says it has suggested it should be extended beyond 2022. Because after COVID, I told you already, revenue reduced. So center said we cannot give you full compensation. So this commission said no problem, center may give partial now and whatever is remaining, so center may extend GST compensation cess beyond 2022 till states are fully compensated. And it said that the rates, too much rates are not good, so at least one rate should be reduced. So it said that 12%, 18% rate should be merged into a single rate. Okay, 12 and 18% rate should be merged into a single rate. Okay, D point. D point is that states which have reduced population growth should be adequately rewarded. Or should be rewarded simply. States which have reduced population growth should be rewarded. It means that those states which have reduced population growth in the past should be rewarded, and for future they should be given incentive to reduce population growth. And next point in this, the commission has to consider population as per response time में कुछ problem है. Okay, next point is that the commission has to consider population as per the 2011 census. population as per 2011 census. Okay, so as per the latest census. Got the point? So it commission has to consider population as per 2011 census. And you know, this became somewhat controversial. You know why it became controversial? What is problem in taking latest census? Earlier finance commission were taking census of 1971. Earlier finance commissions were taking considering census of 1971. So why old census? Now can anybody give me answer? Why latest census, actually why some states have grudges in taking latest census, and why old census was taken? Can anybody give me answer? What is problem in taking current census? So you know, actually if we will take current census, so what will happen? Those states which increase population growth, where population growth has been higher, so population will be more, they will get more funds, because fund devolution is based on population also. So if we will consider the current census, so those states where population growth has been high, they will be rewarded. Like in northern states, population growth was higher in general, so they will be rewarded. And southern states where population growth was low, they will be penalized. Okay, if we take current census. So earlier finance commissions considered previous census, that is of 1971, because population will be considered, and if any state will increase population growth to get more funds from center, that will not happen if we take the current census, the past census. But if we take current census, then this problem may be there. So yes, some of you have given answer like Rudransh, South Indian states have controlled population growth but North failed. So ultimately, if we will take current census, so the southern states, they actually will be penalized for reducing population growth, and northern states where population growth was more, they will be rewarded for you can see for bad things. So southern states actually have this criticize this population current census is not desirable. So what do you think? The concern of the southern states was fully correct or not? So by and large it was correct or not? The apprehension of southern states, this thing northern state will be rewarded and we will be penalized, was it correct, yes or no? Can you give me answer, yes or no? The apprehension of states was correct or not? So obviously answer is no here. So states were not correct in this apprehension. Reason is that okay, so all of you are wrong here. So answer is no here. Why no? Because now listen, see this thing, D point, what I have dictated. The states which have, government has made it very clear in its terms, it has to take care of those states which have reduced population growth. They will be rewarded. So it is especially mentioned in this D point I have to dictate it here. One thing. Second thing, for future, in measures to incentivize states, there should be incentive for future also. Got the point here? There should be incentive for future also to show that state. So keeping in mind these government has made it explicitly written in terms of reference those states in the past who reduced population should be rewarded, and in future there should be incentive. So I don't think there is much need for any such apprehension. I think got the point here. So state's apprehension was somewhat, rather I will say, unfounded, because it is explicitly mentioned in the terms of reference in the past as well as for future. So and this commission has taken care of that. I will discuss. Okay, apart from that, some other terms of reference, shall government set up a non-lapsable defense fund for modernization of defense? Okay, so it has given suggestion. In recommendations I will discuss. So I repeat once more, whenever any finance commission is set up or any committee is set up, there are terms of reference. So if you see terms of reference of any finance commission, so first three are exactly same and fourth varies. Okay, so first three will be exactly directly cut paste from Article 280. Whatever is mentioned in the Article 280, first, second, third, exactly cut paste from that. And fourth is anything which government think as per the current situation, government may give recommendation, may add this thing. You have to recommend on these issues. Okay, so there was controversy on these terms, so that is why I have briefly discussed. And this finance commission, 15th finance commission, so when it was established, so it was established in 2017 and report 2019. Now, do you know what is name of the time period over which the recommendations are implemented? Can anybody give me name of that word, technical term, which we use for the period over which recommendations of any finance commission to be implemented? So period over which recommendation of a finance commission to be implemented is called what? What is that term for that? So the period is, 2020 to 25. And that is more precisely 1st April 2020 to 31st March 2025. And this period is called what? This period over which the recommendations will be implemented is called period of award. Period of award. Okay, award means decision. So like just it has given an order or decision. So period of award. So 20 to 25. Okay, so I repeat once more. Normally government set up finance commission before means 2 or 2.5 years before the this time period, like recommendations to be implemented from 20. So government set up in 17 and asked this to give report by 2019. Okay, and report to be implemented from 1st April 2020. But there was some change here because government made reorganization in states, like this Jammu and Kashmir no longer remain a state. So government converted into a union territory of J&K and Ladakh. So change was made. Okay, so then government asked. So in 2019, this change was made. So government changed the terms of reference. Okay, because change was made in the later part of 2019, and it was supposed it has finalized the report almost, and now it cannot make significant change because of the change in the status of J&K. So government said, okay, no problem. Your report is means already ready, and you need some more time to adjust that thing. So government said, okay, just submit report for 1 year only, and then next year you should submit report for the next 5 years. Okay, so originally the period of award should be from 20 to 25 for 5 years. Okay, so government said, okay, no problem because of the reorganization. Got the point? Due to reorganization of J&K, government changed this period. So this was abandoned, and government said you should give now 2 reports. Now report 1, you should give for the period from 1st April 2020 to 31st March 2021. Okay, report 1. And report 2nd, you have to give for 1st April 2021 to 31st March 2026. Okay, so I repeat once more. So 2021 first report and 21 to 26, 5 years. So overall now this commission has given the report for 6 years. So 1 financial year and then another financial year. Clear? I repeat once more, why the period of award was changed. Originally period of award was this when this was constituted in 2017. But when it was supposed to submit report, it was supposed to submit report in October 2019. And just a few months back, government made changes in J&K's status. So it said we need more time. Now, so government said, okay, no problem. You may just submit report only for 1 year now. Okay, in 19, and we will implement from 20 to 21. And after 1 year, by the 2020, you should submit another report for 5 years. So now the recommendations will be implemented for 6 years. Okay, 1 year already, first report already implemented. Now second report. Now it's the time for second report from 1st April 2021 to 26. Okay, so this is the time period for implementation of so we will mainly discuss second report, that is more important. Okay, although not much changes are there in first and second report. Okay, and who is chairman of this 15th Finance Commission? We have discussed already, Mr. N.K. Singh. Mr. N.K. Singh actually is chairman of 15th Finance Commission, and 4 other members are there, but name of members are not so important. Okay, so established in 17, first report in 19. Now it gave first report in 19, second report in 20. Okay, so report was in 19 and first report for 2021. Second report presented in 2020, but that report was made public by government in this budget on 1st February 21, sorry. Okay, so this report, second report, so I will discuss the second report. Okay, it was made public by the government only in this year's budget on 1st February 2020. Government made it public. Okay, now what do you think? Recommendations of Finance Commission are advisory or mandatory? So A for advisory, M for mandatory. So recommendations of Finance Commission are advisory in nature or mandatory in nature? So answer is obviously advisory in nature. So these are not compulsory for government to implement. Okay, so not compulsory for government. Clear, but as a convention, first three recommendations in general are accepted as such. Okay, why? Because these three recommendations are related with the distribution of funds between center and states. So that is why as a convention, so this is a convention, okay, these are accepted as such, whatever is suggestion given by Finance Commission, because otherwise states will have grudge. States will say that center is not implementing the recommendation, means center is is not actually honoring the constitutional body. So in the honor of the constitutional body, in the spirit of federalism, Government of India always accept the recommendations which are related with fund devolution, because this is the core recommendation. And fourth is any other, it is mentioned by central government, so it may or may not be accepted. Okay, so fourth point is may or may not be accepted. First three are accepted as such without modification, and this is a convention, but not compulsory, is a convention. Okay, now next I will discuss some recommendations of this committee. Now I will discuss second report only. Okay, so recommendations. Okay, so this is report 2. Okay, this is for the period 2021 to 26. Clear? Report 2, 21 to 26. So what are recommendations of the second report? So first point I have told you, write down again. So first point is this, distribution of central shareable taxes. So write down the share of states, the share of states in the central pool of shareable taxes to be fixed at 41%. To be fixed at 41%. Okay, so whatever is tax revenue in the central pool of shareable taxes. Why? What pool is used? Because whatever tax revenue is there from all shareable taxes, that is pooled in. Okay, whatever is that. Let us suppose it is 100 crore. So 41% should go to state. Out of 100 crore, 41 should go to state. Okay. But what was share earlier? So you know, as per first report also same. This committee said in first report also 41%. Clear? So in bracket you mention same as in report 1. Okay, but report 1 is not so important now. Okay, because now time is over now. This, so more important is this for second report, that is for 5 years. So it was same. So in first report also, which was for 20 to 21, that was also 41%. Now important thing is that what was share as per the previous Finance Commission. To mention this thing, as per 14th Finance Commission, as per 14th Finance Commission, the states, the share of states was 42%. The share of states was 42%. Share of states was 42%. Now, can you give me answer of one question? Can I say that it has reduced the share of states? Yes or no? Just give me answer of one question. Earlier, as per 14th Finance Commission, 42%. Now it is 41%. So, can I say that the share of states has somewhat reduced, marginally reduced? Yes or no? If I want to make inference, earlier it was 42, now it is 41. So it means that share of states is reduced. Yes or no? Share of states reduced? Just give me answer yes or no. If no, then reason why no. So if answer is no, then why no? So actually answer is no here, because why no? Can anybody give me reason? Because earlier 42% included the share of JNK also, because JNK was a state earlier. Now JNK is not a state, now it is a union territory, so center has to give money on its own. Okay, so earlier the share of JNK was about approximately 0.85%. Okay, so JNK was share of JNK was 0.85%. Okay, so share of JNK was 0.85%. So now JNK is not a part of a state now. So 0.85 means approximately 1% already reduced. So share by and large remains same. So got the point here. So earlier 42% included JNK also. Now this is exclusive of JNK. Now center has to give money to JNK from its own funds. So that is why the share has not changed. By and large almost same. Or we can say marginally reduced, because the JNK share was about 0.85 as per last finance commission. So share remain almost same. So clear? So it is not reduced, because earlier in 42 JNK was included, write it clearly, and now JNK is not included in this 41. So center has to give money from its own funds. Okay, so close to 1% was JNK share and 0.85 as per the 14th finance commission. Clear? So it has maintained the same actually share. Rather 14th finance commission increased much. As per 13th finance commission, the share was 32%. You may mention this also. Okay, as per 13th finance commission, it was 32%. Okay, so 14th finance commission increased much. It has maintained at higher level. Clear? So this is what this is vertical devolution. Okay, how much center should transfer to state. Now second, I will discuss the second point. Write down. Criteria for determination of share of each state. Criteria for determination of share of each state. So on what basis share of each state will be decided? Okay, so do you think what should be on the basis of common sense? The states which are large should get more money or not? Large in terms of area, in terms of population should get more or not? Very common sense logic. Yes. And don't you think the states which are poor should get more funds? So obviously yes. So per capita income is also there. So what are criteria? Now write down the criteria. Criteria and weightages. So one criteria is population. Okay, and as per 2011 census, okay, as per 11 census, the weightage of population 15%. Okay, and weightage means importance. Got the point? Importance means the extent to which this will be share will be affected by this particular criteria. Okay, area also same. Area weightage 15%. Okay, the population area same weightage 15%. Other is income distance. Income distance weightage is 50%. Sorry, 45%. So earlier 50, now 45%. So 45%. So what is meaning of income distance? So meaning of income distance is actually distance from the it is based on per capita income. So distance from the per capita state with highest per capita income. Okay, based on per capita income, PCI. Okay, for example, like this is the state with having highest per capita, like Goa. Okay, this is per capita incomes of a state. Let us suppose this is highest per capita income of, let us suppose this is of Goa. Okay, now, so they are, let us suppose two states. One state is UP. Okay, other state, let us suppose Maharashtra. So where distance is more, in case of Maharashtra or in case of UP? So these are per capita income. So highest is that of Goa. So per capita income in 3 years. So they have taken the previous 3 years average. So distance in UP will be more. So UP will get more as compared to Maharashtra. Okay, just example. So in simple word, you should know कि based on per capita income, that state having low per capita income will get more funds. Okay, income distance. Other is forest and ecology. Forest and ecology, 10% weightage. So Abdul, you mentioned Maharashtra will get more. No, distance is less, na Maharashtra. Distance is more for UP. So higher the distance, more funds will be transferred. So UP will get more funds as per this criteria. Income. So lesser the per capita income, more distance, more funds you will get. Okay, lesser per capita income, more funds you will get. Okay, now forest and ecology. Forest and ecology is based on share of a state in total dense forest. So based on dense forest, okay, how much dense forest are there in a state? Okay, based on what? Dense forest. Okay, earlier it was forest cover as per previous finance commission, and that depended on the forest cover only. But now here it is based on dense forest. Okay, how much dense forest are there in a state? So more dense forest, more funds will be transferred to that particular state. Okay, so what is benefit? What is logic of this criteria? So two reasons are there. One is obviously environmental logic, like state should be incentivized to increase forest cover, one thing. And second, pure economic logic is there. Ki if there is more forest or dense forest, then it means that state is foregoing opportunities to use that land for any other economic purpose, like for industry or for agriculture. So because dense forests as such will not help in economic activities. So state should be compensated. These are the two logic why this should be there. Other new criteria which is added for the first time, two criteria have been added now, which was not there. These four were there in before Finance Commission also, 14 Finance Commission also. Other is demographic performance. Demographic performance. So 12.5%. 12.5% weightage is given to demographic performance. And demographic performance depends on what? It depends on reducing the birth rate of population. Okay, so if a state which has reduced its population growth or the birth rate, so that state should get more funds. And why it is added? Because I told you in terms of reference, the government asked this commission to give adequate reward to those states where population growth has been lesser. So southern states will be given, some kind of reward as per this criteria. So demographic performance means which state will get more? Where population growth has been lower, where birth rate was lower. Okay. Now next is tax and fiscal. So next criteria is tax and fiscal efforts. So 2.5% weightage. Okay, so tax and fiscal efforts. Tax and fiscal efforts depends on what? It depends on actually the increase in the share of its own tax revenue of a state. Increase in own tax revenue of a state. So if a state has increased its tax revenue more, own tax revenue, then we'll get more funds. Achha, own, why I have used the word own tax revenue? Because state gets significant fund from center also, tax revenue, so that will not be included here. So if a state is successful in increasing its own tax revenue, it will get more funds. The objective is to incentivize the states to actually increase their tax revenue and improve their fiscal situation. And why it is added? Because as per one terms of reference, so a state should be rewarded or should be incentivized to achieve some desirable outcomes. Like one desirable outcome is to increase their own tax revenues also. or in general tax revenues, or expanding GST, coverage. So this is the sixth criteria. So these two criteria are altogether new. Okay, and these first four were all there earlier also as per 14th Finance Commission also. Okay, so fund devolution is based on these criteria. Six criteria are there. I repeat once more. Population 15% weightage. Okay, area 15%. Income distance means low per capita income, more fund 45%. And meaning of weightage means what? Ki the state where low per capita income will be there, weightage is high, will get more as compared to with population. Clear? So weightage shows importance of that. To what extent it will influence the share of a state. That is meaning of weightage. Okay, and then forest and ecology based on dense forest in that state, 10%. Demographic performance means based on reduction in population growth, 12.5, and tax and fiscal effort, 2.5%. So these are the 5 criteria. On the basis of this criteria, which state government got the maximum share? Which state got number 1 share? Can anybody guess? So answer is obviously UP. UP got approximately 18% of the total funds. Means 18% of 41% will be given to UP only. Achha, why UP got maximum funds? The reason is that population is largest in UP. Area is also very large. Income distance is high because in per capita income is low. Okay, and other things weightage is not so much actually here. So that is why UP government got maximum funds. Second is Bihar. Approximately 9 or 10%, approximately 9%. Okay, so Bihar, and then other major states like MP and Maharashtra, etc. And the least share was that of Sikkim or Goa. Like Sikkim or Goa, they were on the bottom two. Okay, so why Sikkim or Goa got less? Because relatively less and relatively more well off. So Sikkim and Goa were on bottom two. So you should have broad idea only. This is as per this criteria, UP got the maximum share. Okay, and this is share of what? This is UP will get 18% of the 41%. Bihar will get 9% of the 41%. This is for horizontal devolution. Okay, so I repeat once more. This vertical devolution is what? Vertical devolution simply means that center should transfer how much? That is 41%, and then how 41 to be distributed among states based on this criteria. Clear? Next thing is that grants and aids to states. So grants and aids. So for grants in aids, it did not give any such criteria. Rather, it directly gave the amount. This much grant should be given to this state. And 5 types of grants actually was suggested by this. So next point you mentioned, the commission has suggested. Now next third point in this, the commission has suggested 5 types of grants. 5 types of grants to states and PRI and Panchayati Raj institutions, amounting to rupees 10 lakh crore to rupees 10 lakh crore, or amounting to to about rupees 10 lakh crore. So approximately 10 lakh crore grant. How much is devolution of tax? Is about 40 lakh crore. Okay, so tax devolution is 40 lakh crore and grant is 10 lakh crore. So grants are much lesser. Okay, the main is tax. Okay, so overall if we see the grants here, this is tax devolution is about 40 lakh crore in 5 years, and grants will be approximately 10 lakh crore. So overall in 5 years center will transfer 50 lakh crore, and out of 50 lakh crore 40 will be in the form of tax devolution and 10 will be grant. So tax devolution is much more than grant. Only broad idea you should have. Okay, so what you have mentioned in this point, it has suggested 5 types of grants. Okay, to states and Panchayati Raj institutions amounting to this as follows. After this mention as follows. Now what are 5 types of grants to be provided to states and union territories? Okay. So first is write down this grants are revenue deficit grant. A point, revenue deficit grants. Other is state specific grants. State specific grants. Other is sector specific grants. State specific grants, sector specific grants. Other is disaster risk management grant. Disaster risk management grant, and finally grant to local bodies. Grants to local bodies. So grants to local bodies. Out of that, maximum is given to local bodies here. So local bodies like PRI, so around more than 4 lakh crore will be given out of 10 to local bodies. Means almost half, slightly less than half will be given to local bodies. Okay, or means almost 45% will be local bodies and other 2 states. Okay, but now exact data etc. is not needed. Okay, how many states will get revenue deficit grant and how much amount is given to which state. So there is an entire list. You need not require to remember that particular data, just only broad idea. But overall, you know, fund devolution will be how much in 5 years? Of 40 lakh crore here, 10 lakh, about 50 lakh crore in 5 years. Okay. Now after transferring this, how much money center will retain? So overall, these actually grants, that devolution in taxes plus grants, amounting it amounts to 34% of center's revenue. Next point, mention this thing rather, 4th point. The total fund devolution from center to states in the form of share in taxes and grants. Share in taxes and grants. Share in taxes and grants. Will amount to 34% of the center's gross revenue receipts. Of the center's gross revenue receipts. 34% of center's gross revenue receipts. Okay, so now remember one thing here. You may have some confusion ki how it is 34% of gross revenue receipts. Remember one thing, this 41% of taxes. Okay, revenue receipts consist of tax plus non-tax. Okay, now see this thing. Revenue receipts consist of what? Tax and non-tax. Okay, in simple word it is total income. So in very simple words, of the total income of center, 34% will go to state. Okay, now it should be clear that 41% was of shareable taxes, of the taxes, 41%, and plus grants. Overall will be equal to 34% of the total, revenue receipts of center. So I repeat once more. In simple words, total fund transferred in the form of taxes like this 40,000 lakh crore and grants 10 lakh crore. So it amounts to about 34% of the total income of center in the next 5 years. So income means revenue receipts. So whatever is income, 34 will be given to them. And remaining will be how much? 66% will be with the center. So 66% will remain with the center income I am talking about. So I think it is clear. Achha, there is a doubt. Achha, Deol, what you have mentioned. Achha, now doubt Shivam, what you mentioned. Before GST, states were collecting their own tax. Now it is collected by center. So is it fair to states who distribute more and receive equal or less? No, Shivam, first of all, remember this thing, before GST and even now, one thing is common, states were having own taxes earlier also and now also. One thing. Second thing, center was transferring money earlier also and now also. Clear? So state also have its own tax now. In GST, half is belongs to state, like CGST, SGST is equal. So it should be very clear that whatever is GST, so half is the state's own share. Get the point? So just like earlier, there used to be sales tax which belonged to state. Now almost half of GST belong to state only. That is state's own tax. That is not shareable. Whatever center will get, that will be shareable. That will be shared with the states again. Clear? Apart from that, states have some own taxes like professional tax, like property tax or house tax that belongs to state. It's directly. Clear? Okay, apart from that, other recommendations, and very important thing is that this commission focused on reforms of municipal corporations. Okay, so and it says that fund devolution should be linked with reforms undertaken by the Panchayati Raj institutions, especially the municipal commissions. So mention next suggestion you mentioned. The commission suggested that the fund devolution to local bodies, especially municipal corporations, should be linked with their performance. Okay, especially those cities where population is actually billion plus cities. Billion means population is more than 10 lakh. So right now we have 50 cities in which population is more than 10 lakh. So for that, this commission said there should be a challenge fund should be created, and from that challenge fund, those states municipalities should get funds which will reform their cities more. If they will improve air quality and achieve other desirable outcomes, then they should get more funds. So this focus much on actually, the reforms of municipalities. It suggested that municipalities should increase the revenue of this property tax, because property tax is very desirable tax, because it is very progressive, because people who are well off, they are paying tax. So it should be increased, and it is having significant potential, so municipality should improve this. Another suggestion of this committee is that state government should set up their state finance commissions. Okay, so state government should establish the state finance commissions and implement their recommendations. Remember one thing, in general, distribution of funds from state to municipality is not decided by the central finance commission. It should be clear. So this finance commission cannot give recommendation how much state should transfer to municipality. It can give recommendation how much center should transfer to state or municipality. So it should be very clear. So like this central finance commission, there is center and state and local bodies. So this finance commission give recommendation how much center should transfer to state and how much center should transfer to local body. It can say yes, this is union finance commission. And what is role of state finance commission? So state finance commission will give suggestion how much local state should give to local body. But in India, problem is that most of the states have not set up state finance commission since long. And even those states which set up these finance commissions, state finance commission, they have not implemented their recommendations. So this finance commission, the 15th finance commission gives suggestion all states should establish their finance commission within 2 years and act on their recommendations. And if by 2000 within 2 years, if a state will fail to act on this, then center should not transfer money to local bodies, okay, of that particular state. So it means that state should be rather incentivized, or rather we can say compelled to set up state finance commissions and implement their recommendations. Okay. Apart from that, just like in terms of reference, it was mentioned for establishing a modernization fund for defense and internal security. So it suggested that this modernization fund for defense and internal security to be established, a non-lapsable. Non-lapsable means whatever amount is there in this fund, even if it is not spent, it should not lapse. Because whatever money is allocated, if ministry fail to spend, then that money lapses, means center takes back that money. So here money will not lapse. So it should consist of, this is modernization fund for defense and internal security. So you may mention name, so modernization fund for defense and internal security of 2.4 lakh crore. But these are factual, you just go through in the notes, other recommendations. Okay, and out of this, center should provide this 1.5 from center, and rest will be from the strategic sale of defense PSUs or some land with defense PSUs, etc. Money will be provided by center itself, 2.4 lakh crore, and non-lapsable modernization fund for defense and internal security to be established. Okay, these are some important recommendations. You may go through few more recommendations. So go through the recommendations. So I have not dictated all because they are very simple. Now this is 15 Finance Commission. Now before analysis of this, I will briefly discuss 14 Finance Commission, because 14 Finance Commission is very, very important. It is a landmark. So although the term is over, but that has made a significant change in cooperative federalism in the country. So briefly I will discuss 14 Finance Commission. Okay, so you know, recommendations of this period was from 2015 to 20. Okay, this was the period of award. Okay, when it was established, give report is not so important. Obviously, reports implemented from 15, so it gave report in 2014, but not so important. Report gave in 14 and implement, but implementation is from 15 to 20. Clear? Now, what are recommendations? And who was chairman? Mr. Y. V. Reddy. Okay, so Mr. Y. V. Reddy. Who was Mr. Y. V. Reddy? He was earlier governor of RBI, former governor of RBI. Mr. Y. V. Reddy was chairman. Okay, gave report in 14 and implemented from 15 to 20. Okay, now what are some recommendations? So first write down, first recommendation, the share of estates in the central shareable taxes. Share of estates in the central shareable taxes should be increased from 32% to 42%. Okay, so earlier 32% was as per 13th FC. Okay, so it was 13%, 32% as per 13th Finance Commission. I am talking about 14th Finance Commission. It increased the share to 42%. You can see, and it was unprecedented increase. So it was unprecedented increase. So Ganji Vijay Kelkar was the chairman of previous Finance Commission, 13th Finance Commission. 14th Y. V. Reddy. Okay, so it is unprecedented increase. But remember one thing. So can we say that fund devolution will really be really increased by unprecedented level? So if you see this thing, it seems to be yes. Okay, it is almost it has increased from 30 to 42, means almost 35% increase here, significant increase. But this commission said center should increase this transfer and reduce other transfers. So now write down second point. Okay, the center should compensate. The center should compensate itself for higher tax devolution. The center should compensate itself for higher tax devolution to states by reducing other transfers. Reducing other transfers. By reducing other transfers like grants and discretionary transfers. To grants and discretionary transfers. So center should reduce grants and so it also says that grants should be negligible. Main should be tax devolution. So itself it reduce grants. And second said, center said, grant may be given by through finance commission or center may give it on own. That is called discretionary transfers. So you should reduce this. Okay. So and discretionary transfers are given for centrally sponsored schemes, CSS. Centrally sponsored schemes. So it said that you should reduce centrally sponsored schemes. Like Manrega is also centrally sponsored scheme. Okay, Manrega, midday meal scheme, etc. Most of the development programs which we earlier discussed also are centrally sponsored schemes. So center should reduce this. Center should reduce grants and increase tax devolution. So what do you think here? States are out now. Have you understood first and second recommendation? Ki share of state should be substantially increased, but center should compensate itself by reducing other transfer. Now, if I want to make this conclusion, ki the implication of this commission is that ki the fund devolution to state will increase substantially. So, is it correct or wrong? Fund devolution will increase substantially. Yes or no? So answer is no. So answer is that fund devolution will increase but not substantially. Got the point? So fund devolution will increase but not substantially. Why? Because this is substantial increase but there is reduction. You are giving money from two hands, one left and right. So you just increase with right hand and reduce transfer with left hand. Got the point? So fund devolution increase, but no doubt about that, but not substantially. So what is implication? Can you tell me the implication then ultimately? If fund devolution did not increase substantially, then what was the implication here? What was implication? The main implication, anybody can tell me? Main implication was that autonomy increased much. Fund devolution also increased. The main thing, autonomy increased. Why? Because the share of this has increased. So this is the money which belong to state, and state have the right to use whatever they want. There is full autonomy. Grants are usually sector specific, state specific, etc. As I told you, they are linked with certain things. Okay, you will take the grant and use for this particular money. And the grants which is given through for this CSS, these are central government scheme. So states are spending on that. So problem is that state don't have much autonomy neither here nor here. Clear? And whatever grants it suggested, it said that it did not give any sector specific grant. So it said that it gave general grant. Grant center is giving to state and state will have full freedom to use. So it did not give any sector specific grant. Just like this 15 Finance Commission gives sector specific grants, out of 5 types of grants, there was no sector specific grant. So main focus was on autonomy, increasing autonomy. Clear? This is the, and finally what was the implication? The implication why this is a landmark and is so important, even I'm talking about now, is that it has promoted cooperative federalism. Cooperative federalism. So meaning of cooperative federalism I have already dictated, means cordial or good center-state financial relations and among states also. Okay, so cooperative federalism means cordial financial relations between center and states and among states, and good coordination, cooperation among center and states and among states. Okay, good relations and coordination, cooperation among center and states and among states. This is meaning of cooperative federalism. Now, why cooperative federalism increased? So improved. One point I told you, fund devolution increased. Certainly increased, but not substantially. Increased. And we cannot say insignificant also, increase somewhat significantly, but not substantially, it should be clear. Fund devolution increase. More important thing, autonomy. Autonomy to states increase. So this is very important point. Autonomy to states increase. States have full autonomy, to transfer funds. And third thing, so B point here, and C point is that discretionary transfers. Discretionary transfers reduce. Actually, discretionary transfers means these were based on discretion of center. And do you think if center will have discretion, will it lead to discrimination? Let us suppose, center is run by a particular political party, and if a state is ruled by another political party, do you think center would like to give more money to that state which is ruled by a other political party? Yes or no? Give me answer. If let us suppose central is ruled by one political party, obviously whatever political party now or any time earlier, so will center in general will be willing to provide more fund to those states which are ruled by other political parties? Yes or no? So obviously answer is no. So if discretion is there, can I say there must be discrimination? So obviously yes. Whenever discretion is there, discrimination is bound to be there. So, and because of discrimination, these were very contentious transfers. So these were very contentious. So discretionary transfers actually were very much disputable. Okay, so these transfers lead to discrimination against states. Got the point? These transfers lead to discrimination against state, and that transfer reduced. Got the point? These were very contentious transfer, means disputable transfers. So those things which were disputable thing, that reduce. Okay, they will get more autonomy. So can we say center-state financial relations will improve or not? Okay, why? Because the issue, there was a big question mark on these transfers, because there was discrimination, allegations of discrimination against by the states consistently. Now importance of that reduced, which were controversial thing reduced. And fund, more center is transferring to states, more autonomy center has given. So will it improve center-state financial relations? So that is actually cooperative federalism. Clear? Second thing is that the very important second implication is that it has promoted competitive federalism. Competitive federalism. So competitive federalism means there means healthy competition among states. Okay, how? Now see this, how competition. So first thing is that because of more fund devolution and more autonomy of state, because of this thing, so states, because of these things, now can we say state can design their own schemes and implement? Okay, to mention this point, states were granted autonomy. States were granted autonomy or more autonomy rather. States were granted more autonomy to design and implement their own developmental programs. Own developmental programs. Own developmental programs. Okay, now to developmental programs, design and implement their own developmental programs. Okay, design and implement also. Okay, so states were given more autonomy because they were given more funds and more autonomy to use of funds. So they designed their own program, implemented their own programs. Okay, now can we say if each state is giving more autonomy, they are designing program, so will it enable interstate comparison? To mention this thing, it enables interstate comparison. It enabled interstate comparison. Interstate comparison in the outcomes of the developmental programs. Interstate comparison in the outcomes of the developmental programs. Okay, which induced an element of competition. Which induced an element of competition among the states. Which induce an element of competition among the states to improve outcomes of their developmental programs. To improve the outcomes of their developmental programs. Okay, it also enhances accountability of states. Now we can make a comparison. For example, why competition will increase and why accountability of a state will increase. It also increases accountability of a state. So why accountability of a state will increase? Because earlier a state could have said that we actually situation has not improved in our state because we are implementing central schemes like centrally sponsored scheme, which is not desirable for us. We have no autonomy. But now since autonomy is given, adequate funds is given to all states. If one state is similar state is performing better, why not other state? Got the point here? So if one state can do better, why not other state? Why? So even people can hold the government accountable. If the state fail to perform good as compared to other state, may change the state government. So it will increase accountability of state government to public also, because comparison could be possible, and state will not have this excuse कि we don't have money and we don't have autonomy to design our programs. So, or we are implementing the outdated schemes of center or one size fit all approach. So one size fit all approach reduced also. So also mention this, it reduced the one size fit all approach. So one size fit all approach was because CSS everybody implementing this. So that is why competitive federalism increased. Clear? So the most important thing in 14th Finance Commission, why it is landmark, because if there is a question on cooperative federalism or competitive federalism, then 14th Finance Commission is a landmark. So there are three important things for promoting cooperative federalism. What are the three things? Even there was a question in mains. So question is very much expected on federalism or competitive federalism or this cooperative federalism. The question is very much expected in mains. So once question was asked, describe major initiatives of Government of India to promote cooperative federalism. So three major initiatives. The most important is 14th Finance Commission, and how I told you. Second is actually I have told you GST, how GST I have told you. And third is Niti Aayog. I will discuss Niti Aayog is promoting coordination with the states and cooperation of the states. So three things are there. 14th Finance Commission, GST, which we have discussed already, and one Niti Aayog I will discuss. So this is towards cooperative and competitive federalism. Clear? Achha, now here one doubt was there in health grants. Yes, it has suggested that state government should increase expenditure on health. It should be at least 8% of the state government's budget. 8% of the state government budget. And overall center and state should increase to 2.5% of GDP on health. Okay, so just those are very just factual points. So go through the recommendations in detail. Maybe as in prelims as well as in mains. Okay, so most important thing is that this is recent commission, so you should see the details, but those are more factual. Okay, but 14th Finance Commission I have discussed because it has made a significant change in cooperative federalism, center-state financial relations, and the good thing is that it has maintained that change. It has not reversed. There were, some kind of allegations were there, like states had one concern because in this terms of reference it was mentioned by center that this commission may review the fund devolution to states, like tax devolution to state, because that was increased so much. So states alleges that in this implicitly center is giving direction to this finance commission that it may reduce the share of state. So state also had this grudge that center should not put such kind of term of reference that it should review. It is there to review only. So why you are explicitly mentioning it means that you want that it should reduce the share of states. But anyhow, it has not reduced. It has maintained the share, and it has the thrust which was given to cooperative federalism and competitive federalism has been maintained by this. So what is implication of this finance commission? And regarding the criteria of devolution, so it has added to demographic performance and tax effort. So this is addition, and certainly it is desirable addition because now states where population growth has been lower, they will be rewarded. Okay, and second, it will incentivize states to improve their fiscal situation. Okay, the most important point is that the thrust which was given by the previous finance commission, it has maintained that. And there were allegations that there is pressure on this finance commission to reduce share of state. Some states alleged this thing. Pressure in the sense that government mentioned in terms of reference that it should review that higher devolution. Okay, but anyhow it has maintained that. Apart from that, the very important thing is that it has focused on reform, the incentives actually to states to improve the outcomes actually. So this is very important positive aspect of this is that the fund devolution has been linked with improving performance. So that a state should improve ease of doing business, reduce population growth, increase the coverage of GST. Okay, so desirable outcomes. Apart from that, a very important thing is that it focuses on municipal reforms. Municipal reforms should be implemented. Apart from that, this 15th Finance Commission gave recommendations on that government center should reduce its fiscal deficit to 4% by 2025-26, and state government within 2 years should reduce to 3%. Okay. And I told you one recommendation: off-budget borrowing should be abundant. And there should be full transparency in contingent liabilities by center as well as by state. Because like in case of public debt data I gave you, so as per central government's assessment is about 49%. 49, 50%. And as per the assessment of this, it is 62.9%, around 63%. Why? Because it said that you should include contingent liabilities also. You should include off-budget liabilities also in your total liabilities. So that is why if we consider total liabilities, it is about 99% of the GDP, almost close to 100%. Okay, so these are some important recommendations of this committee. So you may go through this for a few more recommendations of 15 Finance Commission only. Okay, so this is second thing, Finance Commission. Now finally, funds are transferred by center in two ways. One is through Finance Commission and second on its own. That are called discretionary transfers. So I will first of all give you overall, picture of fund evolution. Now finally, write down this thing, fund transfers from center to states, or fund transfer from center to states. Now there are two ways in which funds are transferred. One is Finance Commission. Finance Commission. Other body used to be Planning Commission. Okay, those two bodies were there. Okay, Finance Commission is already there, and this Planning Commission. Now, can you give me answer? Planning Commission was there earlier, but now this function has been handed over to whom? Which organization? Can you give me answer? Fund devolution. And this is called, this devolution is called statutory transfers. Statutory transfer, and this is called discretionary transfers. Why statutory? Because it is as per law, as per the constitution, and discretionary because it depends on discretion of center. Discretionary transfer. Okay, so most of you are wrong. You have given answer Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog is wrong. Planning Commission was replaced by Niti Aayog. It is correct. But I did not ask this question. Planning Commission was replaced by which body? So certainly that is Niti Aayog. But my question was that this function of fund discretion transfer, fund devolution, has been transferred from Planning Commission to which body? So Planning Commission obviously abandoned. This function has not been transferred to Niti Aayog. So all functions of Niti Aayog has been transferred, all functions of Planning Commission have been transferred to Niti Aayog except one function, this fund devolution. So fund devolution is not with Niti Aayog but with Finance Ministry. Yes, Pratik, you are correct here. To Finance Ministry now. So this function is given not to Niti Aayog but to Finance Ministry. Now one more thing, one question out of the way. Planning Commission, was you must have idea. Planning Commission as well as Niti Aayog, they are not statutory bodies. Neither Planning Commission nor Niti Aayog, neither statutory nor constitutional body. Yes, there is no provision in our constitution to make planning as such for Planning Commission or Niti Aayog, and this is a constitutional body. Clear? You have idea. This is constitutional body set up as per Article 280 of the Constitution, and Planning Commission was not actually constitutional body, neither even government passed a law. Now, can you give me answer of one question? Which used to play an important role? Finance Commission or Planning Commission? FC or PC? Finance Commission FC and Planning Commission PC. Which used to play an important role in general? So, Finance Commission or Planning Commission? The role of Finance Commission is only fund devolution, which we have discussed already. And role of Planning Commission used to be like making the plan, suggesting government the policy, coordinating in various ministries in implementing the developmental programs. Okay, so answer is that planning commission's role was much important. No comparison was there. So all of you are correct here. PC. Planning commission's role used to be much more wider, just like Niti Aayog is also playing that role. And planning commission was doing the same role also, and plus a lot of other roles. Now, don't you think if there is any kind of discrepancy? Can we say are the founding fathers of our constitution, they forget about this importance of planning commission? What may be reason? Had they forget, what may be reason for that? Can anybody give me reason? The body which is so important was not mentioned in constitution, and the body whose role is very small relating to one minor and narrow, there is a provision in constitution. Why? Can you give me reason? Maybe I think our constitutional the framers of our constitution might have forget about the importance of this body. Maybe. Do you think they forget? Or what was the reason then? The body with very narrow function. Finance Commission is a very relatively narrow function. Relatively narrower function is given constitutional status, and body actually which is so important for designing entire development policy, entire development program, including fund devolution to a state, no provision in constitution. Can you tell me reason? Anybody can give me reason in 1 or 2 words? So it seems that our framers of our constitution, they forget about the importance of this. Obviously, this is illogical thing. They are very learned people. So they have read the entire constitutions of the almost entire world. So we cannot think they have forget. So what is reason then? Actually, the reason is that nobody gave me answer. The reason was that Meenakshi, you have mentioned planning commission was somewhere encroaching the functions of finance. No, that is different aspect. FC said the base. Mansi, no. Actually, question is difficult. The answer of this question is that actually planning commission was playing a very important role. Okay. No, all of your answers are completely wrong, and question was very difficult. So that is why I don't expect correct answer from anyone. So now the reason was that planning commission's role was very important, but that role actually is this function is done by cooperation of center, states, etc. So it may be a constitutional body or may not be a constitutional body. It hardly matters. Clear? It was by and large not so controversial. Some controversy happened. I will discuss because of this function, but. So function is basically developmental policy, and which is based on actually assessment of economic thing, and it was more of a economic body which will give suggestion how kind of developmental programs could be assessed. So whether it may be constitutional body or may not be constitutional body, it hardly matters. But this body, although very narrow function, but it is dealing with very contentious issue, very contentious issue, that is fund devolution. Fund devolution is very contentious, means very much disputable issue. Even you must have idea, even when property is distributed among two real brothers, in most of the cases, most of the houses, you might have seen in your family or your relatives, there are bound to be disputes. Disputes in the sense, grudges are always there. 100% grudges are there. Bade bhaiya got this much and I got only this much. Okay, property of my father. So even and even when real brothers fight, they are discontent in this case. Which brother got how much and I got less. Everybody has this contention. I got less. Actually, and we don't give two sisters. The only brothers, they divide and they fight among themselves. So if real brothers fight on this money, so you can think of the government, which are headed by the politicians. Don't you think they will fight? They will put counter allegations, and the state will go to Supreme Court. Then center is doing partiality against us. So reason is that function is very narrow, but function is very contentious, very much disputable. That is why constitutional makers knew this thing. This is very controversial function, so there must be a constitutional body. Otherwise, there will be a lot of disputes could be there, and state must be going to Supreme Court against center for partiality, etc. This is the reason. Got the point? So the prime function of fund devolution was of this one. It used to give transfer, but over time it increased, and that is why it created controversies. And wherever discretion is there, controversial transfers increase over time. That created the problem. Okay. And this problem was somewhat rectified by 14th Finance Commission. 14th Finance Commission said you should increase this and reduce this. because discretionary transfers were mainly for which purpose? For developmental programs, like we call it centrally sponsored schemes for CSS. Okay, and these are need based. Steady transfers are, these are need based. Need based in the sense that the state which is poor or large will get more, like UP get more than second Bihar. Okay, so need based, and this is for developmental programs. So as per the original plan of constitution, the fund devolution primarily will be through this, and some minor fund devolution will be from this. But over time, this increased. Okay, so almost before 14th Finance Commission, it was about 60-40 approximately. Okay, and after 14th Finance Commission, statute transfer increased. Share of states actually increased from 32 to 42% directly. So it increased to approximately 75% now, and this reduced to approximately 25%. So it is only approximate, one thing. Second thing, both are independent. This is entirely different, this is entirely different. So in simple words, if center is giving 100 rupee to state, so out of 175 is given through Finance Commission, and 25 is given through Finance Ministry now. Okay, not Niti Aayog, Finance Ministry. Okay, so contentious transfer reduced, and that is because of 14th Finance Commission. The credit goes to 14th, this is 14th Finance Commission. Got the point? So after 14th Finance Commission, this increase, and 15th Finance Commission maintained that. That is very good thing, because there were chances that it may not be reduced. Otherwise, it will do grudges. Okay, so anyhow, it is maintained now. So these are the two fund devolution. So clear? It is very contentious. How center transfer fund here? There are two means, I told you already. So what are means of fund devolution? One is share in taxes, and second is grants. Okay, and what are means of fund devolution? So there is no share in taxes, but center gives grants, and second is loans. So there are two means of fund devolution. Okay, two means of fund devolution, and states are divided into two categories. One is general category, and special category. So states are of two types: general category, special category. So how many states are there in special category? Two Himalayan states, and eight northeast states. So overall 10 states are there. So which are Himalayan states? Himalayan are Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. Okay, so here Uttarakhand, UK, I am writing Uttarakhand, and what? Himachal Pradesh. Earlier J&K was also a state, but now J&K is no longer a state, so it is no longer a special category state also. So now 10 states are there. Okay, so there are two ways: grants and loans. And for general category state, whatever money to be transferred, there is a fixed ratio: 30% grant, 70% loan. 30% grant, 70% loan. Okay, and for special category, grant should be more or less. And how much? Can you give me answer, anybody? So grant should be more or less for a special category state. If more, then how much percent? Please give answer. So answer is 90% grants. 90% grants. So there is significant difference in general and special category. Here they have to return 70% money with interest, loan, and here they have to return only 10%. 90% is grant. So much more, 90%. Okay, and because of this, center was consistently giving loans to states, so state became highly indebted to center. Then 12th Finance Commission give recommendation that you should not give loan to states. Allow them to borrow on their own, don't give this. So it was abundant, and it was there, it was, we can say, till 2005. Okay, so from 2005, this loans abundant. So now only grants are there. Okay, so only grants are there right now. Okay, and this is after the Finance Commission in 2005. So after 2005, this was abundant. Okay, so it was there till 2005. You can say it was there till 2005. Now it is only grant. So minor change I have told you, because state become highly indebted to center. Okay, and clear. Another is now how which state will get how much depended on what thing. Now share of each state. So whatever is money given through this, so share of each state is based on what? How much grant, which is, now only grant is there. So which state will get how much grant, more or less. So share of state here is based on what? Is based on Gadgil-Mukherjee formula. Gadgil-Mukherjee formula. So share of each state is based on Gadgil-Mukherjee formula. How much grant should be given? Now loan is over. It was till 2005 only. Now no loan. Now grant, how much grant to be given to this and to this state, means overall each state is based on Gadgil-Mukherjee formula. Okay. And this formula was adopted in 1991. From 91 onwards, 1991 onwards. Okay. And you know what is this formula? It is somewhat similar to that which I have told you, like in Finance Commission. But this formula, government already announced in this case it will be abandoned, but still it is not abandoned. So in 2015 and 14 and 15 also, government said that this will be abandoned and another formula should be adopted. So right now partial fund transfer is based on this formula, partial is discretion. Okay, so I repeat once more. So as far as discrete transfer, partially is formula based and partially is it complete discretion of center. Achha, in case of formula, there is no discretion as such. For example, what is criteria here? Population is the criteria, and here weightage of population is 60%. 60% fund devolution is based on population. Then is per capita income, 25% per capita income. Okay, but formula is not important. Okay, so 4 criteria is there: population, per capita income. Third is performance, 7.5% weightage. Performance, 7.5% weightage. Performance means performance of state in increasing tax revenue, reducing fiscal deficit, reducing population growth. And fourth is special problems. Special problems. So please, no need to learn this thing. Gadgil-Mukherjee formula, just name is sufficient. Okay, so on the basis of this thing, share is decided. So you know, share will not be based on the political party in power. So it is based, actually there will not be any discretion. Okay, so if this formula is there, so it will not affect fund devolution on the basis of political party in power. So this is formula. But problem is that right now some is based on formula and some is based on discretion. But center announced that entire will be based on formula, but it is not yet done. Still Gadgil-Mukherjee formula is used. Achha, now remember one thing, Gadgil-Mukherjee formula is only for discretion transfer. It is nothing to do with this. This is entirely different. Now it should be very clear, this is entirely different. Finance Commission is entirely different, independent, and this is different. Okay, so this is all related with discretionary transfers, Gadgil-Mukherjee formula. And before Gadgil-Mukherjee formula, which formula was there? Initially it was Gadgil formula. Gadgil formula. It was given by Mr. D.R. Gadgil in 1969. In 1969, and formula was almost similar. Only minor changes were made by Mr. Mukherjee in 1991. And Mukherjee, who Mukherjee? So Mr. Mukherjee made changes in 1991. This one a minor change like in weightage, etc. So Mukherjee means Mr. Pranab Mukherjee. And Pranab Mukherjee in 1991, he was deputy chairman of Planning Commission. Okay, so at that time in 91 he was deputy chairman, not the finance minister or not the president of India. At that time in 1991 he was deputy chairman of Planning Commission. So he made some minor modification in consultation with the states. Now before Gadgil formula, there was no formula. So what is meaning of no formula? Can anybody give me answer? What is meaning of no formula? So what is actually meaning of no formula? These weightages are not so important. No formula means what? Can anybody give me answer in short? So no formula means which thing? No formula means complete discretion, full discretion, no criteria. So states were demanding that the fund evolution should be formula based. So then Gadgil formula adopted, then later changed to Gadgil-Mukherjee formula. And but problem is that now partially, yes, Divya, you are correct, and yes, all of you are correct. A complete discretion was there. Right now, partial discretion and partial formula. To Gadgil-Mukherjee formula, only an idea, because government has announced it will be abolished and entire fund evolution will be based on formula on the demand of a state, but that has not yet been done. Still it is on the discretion of finance ministry to give more or less to a particular state. So clear? So this is about discretionary transfers. And the last point in that is like special category states. So this is somewhat controversial transfer, and this controversial transfer somewhat reduced after 14th Finance Commission. Yes. Now next is, what are special category states? Special category states. So I have already told you that 10 states are in special category: Uttarakhand and Himachal, and Northeast state 8 including Sikkim. So including Sikkim is 8. Otherwise 7 states are in Northeast. Including Sikkim is 8. So these are 10 states are in a special category. Earlier Jammu and Kashmir was also a special category state, but now it is no longer a state, so it has no longer a special category state. So it was introduced in 1969 by 5th Finance Commission. So it was introduced in 1969 by 5th Finance Commission. Although it was introduced by Finance Commission, but the recent Finance Commissions have completely ignored this. Okay, so for example, like the 15th Finance Commission and 14th Finance Commission also did not give any reference to special category or general category states. So they implicitly, 14th Finance Commission said that this criteria should be abandoned, special category should be abandoned. Okay, now what is criteria? So for which state is put in this special category? Criteria for putting a state in a special category, 5 criteria are there. So just write down the 5 criteria. So first criteria, write down कि hilly or difficult terrain. Okay, so either hilly or terrain means land should not be normal. It may be like hilly or desert or swamp. So hilly or difficult terrain. So that state need more funds. Like for construction of road is difficult if terrain is not a plain. Other is sizable tribal population or sizable tribal population or low density of population. Or low density of population. So sizable tribal population or low density of population. Now why tribal population? Because tribal population is normally less developed, so more funds are needed. And why low density of population? So answer is that if density of population is low, it means that relatively that state will be bigger, because mainly money is transferred through Gadgil-Mukherjee formula, where fund evolution is mainly based on population. 60% weight is given to population. So if same population may be there in 2 states and one density is less, so that state area will be big or small? If population is same in the state, okay, so fund evolution will be almost similar. So where density is less, it means that population will be densely distributed, means that state will be bigger in area. That is the logic. Why? Because area will be bigger as such. And third, mention strategic location. Strategic location along border with neighboring countries. Strategic location along border with neighboring countries means international border. So if a state is having international border, then obviously security issues are there, so that more funds are needed for that purpose. Strategic location along border with neighboring countries. next is economic and infrastructural backwardness. Economic and infrastructural backwardness. Economic and infrastructural backwardness. So economic backwardness means कि poverty ratio may be poverty may be high, per capita income may be low, and infrastructural backwardness means like roads may not be proper, okay, school hospitals may not be there. That is economic and infrastructural backwardness. And fifth point is non-viable nature of state finances. Non-viable nature of state finances. Non-viable nature of state finances. It means that state government may not have enough resources of its own. So that is why it need more assistance from center. So non-viable, but although it is very somewhat subjective thing, okay, what is meaning of non-viable state finances? Okay, so 5 criteria are there. So which state will be given this status, okay, which conform to all the 5 criteria? So first is hilly or difficult terrain should not be a normal plain. Second, either more tribal population or density may be too low in that state. Other is location may be along international border. And fourth, it may be backward like infrastructure or economically backward like more poverty. And other is non-viable state finances, means state should not have enough resources. So less resources with the state government. If state will conform to all the 5 criteria, then it will be put under a special category status. So how many states are there? 10 states right now are there, 2 northeast and 8 Himalayan. What are benefits? So benefits, one benefit I have already discussed. They get more grants. So write down more grants. In bracket 90%. But now it is no percentage because loan is over. So this percentage rather is now no more. Now they will get more grants. Okay, percentage used to be relevant when loan were there. Now loan is not there. So percentage is not relevant now. Other is that more means we can say higher fund devolution. Higher fund devolution. Because they were given more actually fund devolution. Or we can say there were special funds were there. Special funds. Okay, for them. And there are 2 types of assistance. One is general central assistance, other is special central assistance. So special central assistance is only for special category states and general central assistance for not general, for all. So general central assistance for all the states. Apart from general central assistance, separate funds are there for this only. Okay, even earlier there was a very important fund called Backward Regions Grant Fund. So that is now abandoned. Okay, some special funds are there for them. Okay, other is rebates in central taxes. Okay, like in excise earlier or CIT. So some rebates is there so that firm should invest more in these backward states. So central taxes. So center is giving rebate, so it will increase more investment. So state will get more revenue, more production in that state. And other thing is that I told you centrally sponsored scheme, the CSS. So in centrally sponsored schemes, center and state both have to contribute. Okay, and here the share of center is more. It means that burden on state is less. To mention more means higher contribution by center. Higher contribution by center in CSS. Higher contribution of center in CSS. Centrally sponsored scheme. So central government has to contribute more. It means that in simple words, in bracket you mention less burden on states. Less burden on states. Because in case of normal states, center contribute about 75% funds in CSS. But in a special category, center usually spend 90%. The burden is 10% on a state. Okay, so usually 75% for normal state and 90% for special category states. But there are CSS are divided in 3 categories. Okay, so this is these are the benefits. Now, what do you think? The benefits are significant or not? The benefits which are given to these states are significant. So obviously, they are very significant. So benefits are very significant. That is why there was a lot of states are demanding special category state, like Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Bihar, okay, and Rajasthan, etc. A lot of states are demanding this. Why? Because benefits are very significant. What are benefits? I will give you recap. So more grants are given. Now more fund devolution overall, because now it is not, this share is not relevant now. To more fund devolution. Higher fund means separate funds were there for them even now. And other is rebate in central taxes. Other is the burden on state is less. Center is contributing much more, about 90%. And in normal state, center is contributing 75%. Okay, so in centrally sponsored scheme, so benefits are very significant. That is why a lot of states are demanding special category status. So do you think center should give special category status to any particular state? Yes or no? Like Andhra was very vigorously demanding, even Bihar earlier was very vigorously demanding this. So do you think center should consider the request of Andhra? Because before 2014 elections, the Congress government earlier orally promised, okay, after coming to power, we will give you a special category status. When Andhra was divided into two states, Telangana and Andhra, so Congress government means verbally promised, okay, after coming to power. But anyhow, the government changed and Andhra was not given status. So do you think should be accommodated? So answer is obviously no, because it will open up Pandora box. So got the point here? What will happen? If government will accommodate concern of one, then demand for other states will increase. So obviously it will create more problem. Now, apart from that, some committees suggested that it should be abolished. Special category status should be abolished. So which committees? I told you Bimal Jalan committee. Bimal Jalan committee in 2014. I have discussed recommendations. So I did not told you this recommendation. It suggested that it should be abolished. Another committee before this was Dr. C. Rangarajan committee. Dr. Raghuram Rajan. Raghuram Rajan committee in 2013. So Dr. Raghuram Rajan, was governor of RBI earlier. So this Raghuram Rajan committee also suggested it should be abolished. And even 14th Finance Commission implicitly suggested it should be abolished, because and finance commissions are ignoring this. So why Raghuram Rajan committee? So Dr. Raghuram Rajan committee and Bimal Jalan committee both said it should be abolished. Now why abolished? The reason is that this is very arbitrary or not. Like this, why only 5 criteria? There could be other problems. Why not we consider other problems? Like maybe special problems of a state, why not we consider that? Okay, so there could be, the criteria is somewhat, somewhat arbitrary. Why only 5 points? There could be other things also. And why only few states should get much more funds and why not others? So there should be some parity. So what this Raghuram Rajan committee suggested, I have shared in notes, fund devolution should be based on development of a state, mainly development. The states which are less developed should get more funds. And development should be measured by a multi-dimensional index of backwardness, MDI, just like HDI. So multi-dimensional index of backwardness. Just in 2 minutes, we will complete this chapter. Okay, so Raghuram Rajan committee suggested that fund devolution should be based on the development of a state, and development is measured by just like human development index we have discussed. Similarly, there is multi-dimensional index, and it is based on 10 indicators. 10 indicators like education, health, per capita expenditure, poverty ratio, SC/ST population, okay, etc. Connectivity, infrastructure in a state, based on that parameter. So states which are on low will get more funds. Clear? So this Raghuram Rajan committee gives suggestion that this special category status should be abolished. And Raghuram Rajan committee suggested this thing, that this should be abolished, but as per the, and it gave a formula, there should be a common formula. An entire fund devolution, discretionary fund devolution should be based on formula based. Entirely should be based on what? Formula based. So means there should not be any discretion. And as per this formula, it suggested that we have taken care of special category states, because there are two problems in special category states. One is that they are backward. So we have considered backwardness as a major criteria for fund evolution. One thing. Second thing is that these are some states are very small, like northeast states. So we have taken care of very small states in that, because as per this formula, 0.3% to be given to each state. Then based on backwardness, then based on performance. Three things: fund evolution. One is 0.3 to every state. Second is that fund devolution based on backwardness. And third is based on performance. So state should have incentive to perform better. So this was the suggestion. So it said that as per our formula, the states which are in this category will not lose. Most of the states will get almost same fund which they were expected to get earlier. So we have taken due consideration of that, and government should abolish this, and entire fund devolution should be this entire should be based on formula base. Although government said we will do, but government has not done yet, because right now still Gadgil-Mukherjee formula partial and partial discretion is there. So why I have discussed this committee, Raghuram Rajan committee here, although it was not, it is recommendations of this committee have not been implemented because government changed, and although orally the government committed, this government committed we will adopt the formula based approach. So I have discussed in detail, because if there is a question on cooperative federalism in general or fund devolution, you can mention this Raghuram Rajan committee also, or in general also, entire fund devolution should be based on a formula. Okay, one thing. Second thing is that special category state, should it be abolished? What is your opinion? Yes or no? Should it be abolished? Yes or no? Because as per these committees, this should be abolished. So answer, I think, should be yes, it should be abolished. And even center wanted to abolish this. Center has announced, but then there was some protest. So center said, okay, we are not abolishing, but center decided to gradually dilute this. Now center has diluted this. Why? Some special funds have been abandoned now. Okay. This fund devolution automatically reduced after 14th Finance Commission. One thing happens, first point. Second, special funds, some fund like backward regions grant fund abolished now by center. Central taxes now after GST, so automatically somewhat some concessions reduced in indirect taxes, like earlier it was in excise. Other is that in CSS, the scope of CSS also reduced because of this reduce. So now the center is gradually reducing the benefits which are given to special category states. And officially government is not using the word special category. Government is using the word Himalayan and Northeast states. Clear? So government is using this word. So government is gradually diluting. So what do you think, government's policy is okay or not? So I think it is obviously okay and desirable, and it should be abundant, because unnecessary it is leading to problem. And once they when government is gradually diluting, when there will not be any significant difference, then hardly they will bother about this, whether they are in a special category or not. So I think there should be a formula based approach should be there for entire discretion transfers. If there's a question on this cooperative federalism or fund devolution, what issues are there, so in that you can give this suggestion. So I think it is clear. And last thing in this is centrally sponsored schemes. I told you, just one last point I will tell you here. Centrally sponsored schemes actually are those schemes where center and states contribute. Here center also contribute in this, like in Manrega and midday meal scheme and various other developmental programs, and state also contribute. Okay, center, state both. And these are divided into three categories: core of the core, then core, and optional scheme. So there are different contribution in core of the core, and this here, and then then core schemes, and then this scheme. And earlier there were 66 schemes were there. Now number of centrally sponsored scheme reduced to 28. Okay, so number of schemes reduced, and they are divided into three categories. So just you can see in the notes other factual things. And these were restructured by Niti Aayog. Niti Aayog set up a subgroup of chief ministers headed by Mr. Shivraj Singh Chauhan. At that time also he was the chief minister of Madhya Pradesh. So subgroup of chief ministers reduced the CSS after 14 Finance Commission's recommendations. Okay, and the schemes in which 100% funding is done by center are called what? Can anybody give me name of that scheme? Where 100%, if a scheme where 100% funding is given by center, that are called central sector scheme. Central sector scheme. Okay, so schemes which are 100% funded by center are called central sector scheme. Okay, central sector scheme. and schemes where sharing is done, that is centrally sponsored schemes. Okay, and these are given notes, you may go through that. I will revisit briefly in Niti Aayog, in economic planning. Okay, so that is all in this chapter of government budgeting. And some, I have gone in some issues of governance also. You might have read these issues in governance maybe. Okay, so this is all in this government budgeting, and after a break of 10 minutes, we will continue with new module, that is industry. Okay, now next we'll continue with another module, that is industry. Industry module 13. In this module, we will discuss industrial policy. Okay, industrial policy, I will conduct review of industrial policies from the very first industrial policy till 1991 Make in India, 1991 India industrial policy, then Make in India and Startup India, Stand Up India, some recent issues and the analysis and the changes in industrial structure and the achievements or failures of this Make in India. Then after policy review, we will discuss public sector undertakings, PSUs. Okay, so I have shared notes also on this just now. So please go through notes also, so that it will be easier for us. So like this topic is simple, so I won't dictate on this topic, public sector units. Then disinvestment. So rather I will discuss on disinvestment. Like what are objectives of disinvestment of PSUs. Disinvestment means selling shares of PSU to private sector, maybe to a company or to public. So disinvestment, why disinvestment is started? Because now government is focusing too much on disinvestment. Government is raising more and more funds from disinvestment. So what are issues? It was much in debate. So question may be asked on in mains case, is it desirable to sell assets? Because government is selling assets. So is it desirable to sell asset at large scale? So what are pros and cons of this? So we will discuss in detail. Other is MSMEs, micro, small and medium enterprise. So this is simple topic like definition of MSME, the problems faced by them, okay, contribution of MSMEs and the government measures to give support like financial support, tax rebate, etc. to MSMEs. Okay, other is industrial sickness. Industrial sickness. We have discussed already this topic. Industrial sickness means the sick industry. I told you, industry which should be registered for at least 5 years and whose net worth must be negative, means asset should be less than liability. Okay, as per SICA Act. Okay, and then IBC we have discussed. So earlier we had this sick industrial provisions, sick industrial companies, Special Provisions Act of 1985. Okay, but that has been not abolished but modified by IBC 2016, to which we have discussed already the exit problem in detail in banking. Because I have discussed IBC, so I give you detail about industrial sickness policy. So right now there is no definition of industrial sickness in this act. So in case of default, that is called insolvency. Okay, and legal action could be taken. Bankruptcy process may start if any company will default, as we have discussed already. Okay, so mainly here we will focus on industrial policy first, and then briefly I will tell you about this and MSMEs, and then these two topics I will focus on more. Okay, and these rather you should go through from notes. Okay, I'll give you brief review idea about these. Abdul, you are asking, is it advisable to go through India Yearbook for such topics? Yes, I think India Yearbook is important, but not as such from economics perspective. So India Yearbook is important. I think you may go through maybe India Yearbook or maybe summary of that, especially the latest changes in that. Okay, but for economic section, India Yearbook is not very important. At the most, some developmental programs, some government schemes you can see at the most. Okay, so government schemes and developmental programs you can see from India Yearbook, but not it is not much important for economy section. But certainly I think you should go through at least a summary of India Yearbook. Okay, because few questions are there always, every year, at least 5-6 questions you may get. But those questions you may go through in polity section, in science and technology section, okay, in other sections also you may get. And I told you already that the most important document is economic survey. And I told you already कि don't go through economic survey, not needed, because it is very bulky and it will lead to wastage of your time, unnecessary. So best thing is that you may go through summary of economic survey. Okay, so I think Vision's summary is quite good, is available on net. So you may go through summary of economic survey of volume 1 and 2, both. Summary is more than sufficient. Okay, some makes go through summary, make notes, revise it twice, thrice, that is sufficient. If you think any particular chapter is very important, then you can go through that particular chapter of that economic survey or particular topic. Okay, an economic survey is freely available, you know, on Finance Ministry. So just put Finance Ministry on Google, on first page itself. Economic survey is available, volume 1, volume 2. So no need to purchase economic survey, no need at all to purchase economic survey. Okay, so I repeat once more, economic survey you should go through summary. Okay, and Vision Science summary is very good because this year they have added questions, objective and subjective. I think subjective questions are very important. So try to think okay, what kind of question may be asked in mains. And so don't worry, you will understand everything. Once our syllabus will be over, you will understand everything in that. Okay, most of the topics you will understand. But I think it is better to wait for some time. You may go through now also, but it is better if you wait because few more topics are remaining. So then it will be much easier for you to understand that. And regarding budget, so you know budget, just go through budget. You might have read from magazine, just 1 or 2 sources are sufficient. Just 2 sources, go through budget from 2 sources, this budget. Because conceptual framework we have discussed already. Some factual things like new schemes, etc. You can just update from any 2 magazines. Okay, so just I think 2 magazines will be sufficient to go through budget from 2 separate sources, more than sufficient. Budget is not so lengthy. Okay, now next we will start with industrial policy. So first topic is industrial policy. So which was the first industrial policy of the country? No, we have almost, I think, maybe 7 classes approximately. I have to check that. Approximately we have 7 classes. But we are actually lagging behind. We may need maybe 1 more class. But anyhow, I will try to cover in 7 classes. And to my suggestion is that please go through notes. Now, some topics are simple. Like even industry, some topics are very simple like MSMEs and PSUs. Okay, so please try to go through notes which I am sharing. Like for example, economic planning is also very simple. Some aspects we have already discussed. So I will only briefly discuss planning. So I will share notes. So after industry, I will share the notes of planning. So please go through notes so that we can maintain our speed. Okay, because our speed is very slow. So now next is because then as per my perception, because most of you were not able to give correct answers. So you have not read of the notes which I have shared, most of you. Because few questions which I have asked that was mentioned in the notes you have not read. So please go through notes. Now, okay, now next, first industrial policy. What was name of first industrial policy? That was Industrial Policy Resolution 1948. Industrial Policy Resolution 1948. So in this policy, the most important point of this policy is that it stated that Indian economy will be a mixed economy. So just mention that it is stated that Indian economy will be a mixed economy. And in simple words, mixed economy means public and private sector both will be there. Government will promote private sector plus public sector. Okay, so there will be a role of public and private sector. Second thing is that from the very first industrial policy, government has been promoting the small industries. So next point you mentioned small scale industries, SSI, to be promoted. Small scale industries to be promoted. Okay. Earlier we were using the word SSI. Now we are using the word MSME. So which one is broader? So what is main difference here in SSI and MSME? So here is micro, small and medium enterprises. Here is small scale industries. So main difference here is that E stands for enterprise here. E stands for enterprise, and I stands for industry. Okay, earlier, industry and enterprise means manufacturing, like industry as well as services. So difference is that which is more broader, industry or enterprise. So enterprise include industry means manufacturing as well as services. So industry means here manufacturing. So earlier focus was on small manufacturing units, right now on small manufacturing and service sector units. So enterprise is more broader. Got the point? Achha, earlier, why? Because service sector was not so large. So that is why we are focusing on industry only, not much on services. Okay, and here means a small scale industries. Small included micro, but we say small, micro, small and medium. The main difference is not this small micro. Main difference is that only industry was focused, and here when we say MSME, we include service sector units also here. This is the main difference between enterprise and this industry. So but in earlier this small scale industry was used word, now commonly MSME. Other is restrictions on foreign investment. Restrictions on foreign. So government, why? To protect domestic industry, because our industries were not so competent. Industrial revolution was successful in Europe, and because of that, imported items, industrial goods were much cheaper than our industrial products. So our industry was not able to compete. So a lot of industries shut down because of the this import, and foreign companies may be establishing in India. So government imposed restrictions on imports as well as on foreign investment to protect our domestic industries. Okay, so restrictions on foreign investment and even on foreign trade also. Why? To give protection to domestic industry. Technically, there's a term called infant industry argument. So it is believed that industries in underdeveloped countries, initially they were in the stage of infancy. So infants need protection. Once they will grow, they will become young, then they will be exposed to competition with multinational giants. Because a infant cannot fight with the giant. Let the infant become young, and then that infant may be exposed with giant. Okay, so that is called infant industry argument. Got the point here? But this policy, was much important policy. Yes or no? So answer is no. So this industrial policy was not so important. Why? Because this policy did not lay down any long-term strategy of industrial development. The most important policy is second actually, policy. So second policy name was same. Industrial policy resolution 1956. So industrial policy resolution 1956. This policy was most important policy, and it was called economic constitution of the country. So it was called economic constitution. So write down this thing. It was called economic constitution of the country. Because it laid down, to just mention it, it was called economic constitution of the country because it laid down the basic framework, because it laid down the basic framework of industrial policy, which was pursued till 1991. Which was pursued till 1991. So it means that in the pre-reform era, the strategy of development was based on this. Clear? And also mention it was the most important. It was the most important policy slash tool. It was the most important policy or tool, or we can say instrument, to implement industrialization based model of second 5-year plan. Second 5-year plan's model was based on industrialization of the country. Okay, so in our we will discuss like our development strategy was decided in the second 5-year plan. Okay, and second 5-year plan laid down the development strategy which was followed in entire pre-reform era. Means from 1956, this plan was in 56 only till reform, because reform changed the basic framework of economic policy. So in India, we had two strategies of development. One was actually based on this model, second 5-year plan model based on industrialization from 56 till 91, and then second strategy is actually the reforms, LPG strategy. Okay, so we had two strategies. So here in next chapter will be in 5-year plan, I will briefly discuss, but basically this was the most important component, because as per this 5-year plan, second 5-year plan, the industrialization was the core focus, and this policy was the main policy to implement this development strategy. And this 5-year plan, second 5-year plan was made by which person? Mahalanobis, PC Mahalanobis. So in next chapter planning, I will revisit this. So PC Mahalanobis. So he was director of Indian Statistical Institute, PC Mahalanobis, Mahalanobis, PC Mahalanobis. Professor PC Mahalanobis gave the development model of the second 5-year plan. And to implement this model, this industrial policy was announced. So that is why it was called economic constitution of the country. Okay, so now write down some features of this policy now. So mention features. So which sector was given prominence, private or public? So write down public sector. To achieve commanding heights of the economy. Public sector to achieve commanding heights of the economy. Public sector to achieve commanding heights of the economy. In simple word, public sector should play a leading role in industrial development. Okay, it means that leading role, public sector. So focus remain on public sector. Why? Because heavy industry to be developed, like which require huge investment. And obviously private sector did not had so much funds at that time, because financial markets were not so developed, so that private sector should have raised fund and invested. Even private sector did not have technology, because most of the PSUs were established by collaboration with foreign countries. Technology were machinery and technology were imported from other countries, most of the developed countries. Okay, so focus was remain on the public sector, means government companies. Okay, second is that classification of industries. Classification of industries. So industries were classified in 3 categories. Okay, one is Schedule A. Schedule A industries. Schedule A industries in bracket public sector. So how many industries were there? 17. So Schedule A industries reserved for public sector, and how many? 17 industries were in reserved for public sector. So industries like defense, okay, so defense, atomic energy, rail transport comes under public sector, means private sector will not be allowed in this. Second is Schedule B industries. Schedule B is mixed. Mixed sector, so 12 industries were there. So mixed 12 sector, but actually here mixed seems to be that both industries, but actually these were partially reserved for public sector. So partially in the sense government said new units will be set up only by public sector in this area. Okay, example like aluminium, like drugs, like fertilizers put under this category, which were partially reserved. Okay, first is wholly reserved and these were partially reserved, means partially in the sense that new units will not be set up by private company, only existing will be allowed. So mainly predominantly it will be public sector owned. So 17 industries 100% reserved and 12 partially reserved. And third is Schedule C industries in bracket private sector. Private sector means rest. So all others were open for private sector, but open for private as well as public. Public can also establish. It does not mean that government cannot establish. Okay, just like car. So private sector company can make car, but government can also invest. Just like government invested in Maruti Suzuki Udyog Limited. Okay, so industries were classified in these categories. Main thing is that some industries were reserved. 17 reserved 100% and 12 partially reserved, in simple words. So importance was given to public sector. Next point, next third point you mentioned, private sector to be regulated through licensing policy. Private sector to be regulated through licensing policy. Now, can I just give me answer one question? Can we say that government, to some extent, government discourage private sector? Yes or no? If on the basis of this kind of this policy, can I say government try to discourage private sector industries? Yes or no? So private sector to be regulated through licensing policy. So can I say that to some extent government tried to discourage private sector? So answer is completely no. So regulation does not mean discouraging here. Regulation means that government should ensure how industry will be developed. Like license does not mean discouraging. License means regulating which sector is important, where industry to be established. So this is completely wrong to say that private sector was discouraged. No. Regulation means we had limited resources. So government decided that we shall use our resources as per the needs of the country, because otherwise like private sector might be producing some luxury items for rich people, and poor and normal middle class people, poor people may not get the essential things because resources were limited. So we shall use them properly or not. So main objective was that resources should be used as per the needs of the country rather than on the basis of pure demand. Demand means those people who have money, they create demand. This was the reason. So next point you mentioned coordination between private and public sectors, or coordinated development rather, sorry. Coordinated development of private and public sectors. Coordinated development of private and public sectors. So coordinated development, both sectors to be developed. So how coordinated development? For example, the lead will be taken by public sector. Public sector will make two types of industries. One is basic industries, like basic, which produce basic inputs like coal, cement, steel, iron, basic inputs which are needed by all industry. And second, public sector will set up other industry, that is capital goods industries. Okay, so capital goods industry is machine making industry. So public sector will make, one is basic inputs like iron, steel, and second machines, and then machines will be sold to private companies. Private company will make consumer goods. So the license will be given according to the overall plan of industrialization. So it means that public sector will give support to private sector by giving them inputs so that they will establish industries and will meet the demands of various various areas, various regions. So clear? So no, result was Abhishek, you have mentioned result were opposite. No, why opposite? Both sector developed in India. Don't you think private sector was also not developed, to some extent developed, but remain weak? But we cannot say that private sector completely eliminated in pre-reform era. In pre-reform era also, private sector, but rather private sector did some malpractice also. Like big companies, they established their monopolies. I will discuss that in further analysis. Next 2 points are almost similar here. To mention this support to SSI. Support to SSI. Earlier this word small scale industries was used instead of MSME. To support to SSI. And next point, the same thing, restrictions on foreign investment. Restrictions on foreign investment. So government also maintain that restrictions will be there, and government in general will not allow foreigners to have management control. So FDI limit was fixed at 40%. In most of the cases, foreigners cannot buy more than 40% shares. So in general, the limit was that foreigner cannot buy more shares. Okay, in general, because to give protection to domestic industry. So these were the actually points of this policy, and these are features of India economic policy in pre-reform era. So in planning or strategy of development, I will revisit this in planning. Okay, that is why I have discussed in detail, because this policy laid down this framework, and this was pursued till 91. So it means that other industrial policies were more important, less important till 91. So obviously other industrial policies were less important. Why? Because major structure remains same, minor modifications were made by other policies. Like now next policy is, then third policy is industrial policy statement. Industrial policy statement 1977. Now before one question in general, what about industrial policy in India before independence? Though before independence, economic policy, industrial policy was liberal or regulated. Before independence I am talking about. Can you give me answer? Liberal? Before independence. So was it liberal or actually rigid? Rigid regulation we can say. So more liberal or regulated? So it should be clear, before independence, our industrial policy in India during British regime, it was very liberal. And because of liberal policy, foreigners could have invested in India. Okay, easily. Anybody, any item could be imported. So our economy was deindustrialized. So it was not regulated. It was actually much liberal. And because of liberal policy, our economy was deindustrialized. Because industrial revolution was successful in America, Europe. Okay, and then those companies, when they establish here, so it lead to lot of firms shut down in India. Okay, similarly imported items lead to our industries were not competent. So industry became our economy became deindustrialized because of this. So liberal policy is not always good. It should be clear. And to give protection, government started regulation. Especially government imposed restrictions on imports and MNCs. So to give protection to domestic industry. And obviously policy was liberal, and this was not desirable. That is why regulation started after independence, and that was certainly desirable. So I think got the point here. So all of you are wrong here, because you thought that liberal policy is good. So no, liberal was not desirable at that time. Liberal policy affected our industry. Okay, now next I'll come back to this third point. Industrial policy statement 1977. In 1977, Janata Party government came to power, and Mr. George Fernandez was industry minister. So the focus of this policy came on SSI. So it focused on actually support to SSI should be further increased. Okay, and focus relating to this is decentralization of industries. Decentralization of industries. Okay, so focus came on decentralization, like more and more small industries, SSI should be promoted, and it was mentioned, and in this industry, lot of tax rebates were given to small scale industries. Within small scale industries, one concept of tiny sector was created. So tiny industry is the industry in which investment was up to 2 lakh at that time. So investment in industries up to 2 lakh, it was tiny, and tiny means no tax on that. Okay, so tiny sector was created within SSI. Okay, so focus came on MSMEs to create jobs, because situation of employment was not good, because in mid 70s when poverty data was released, it was shown that more than half population, 55% population was poor. Okay, poor means partially hungry at that time. So focus came on this. And they started employment generation programs also, I told you, Janata Party government, like Food for Work program. So focus came on social sector, like employment generation. Second thing is that they increase further restrictions on foreign investment. So FDI ceiling was fixed at 40%. Okay, so earlier means it was there in some cases the FDI may be beyond 40%. And in some cases, government gave 100% control, means some management control was given to foreigners. Okay, so for example, in Coca-Cola and IBM, so management control was given to foreigners. Now this policy said no foreign company will retain management control in India. Now foreign companies have to reduce their shareholding to 40%, and they have to transfer their management control to Indian people. Then Coca-Cola and IBM, which were having management control, the government asked them to reduce the shares. Government asked them to sell their shares to Indians and leave management here. So means transfer management to Indians. Then these companies, Coca-Cola, IBM, they said no, we will not do this thing. Rather, we will prefer to go out of the country. Then government said, okay, you can go out. You are free. Sell your company and go out. So they sold companies and went out of the country. Later, after 91, when 51% FDI was allowed in 90s, then they again came back. Coca-Cola and IBM came back later because they shut down, sold their business and went out. Just an example I'm talking about. So focus actually came on much on domestic industries, especially small industries, and diversification, decentralization of industry. Other thing remains same. Public sector, everything remain same. Then fourth is industrial policy resolution. Industrial Policy Resolution 1980. Industrial Policy Resolution 1980. So you know what was situation till 80. So by 1980, do you think public sector became somewhat means established? Was it significantly established? Yes or no? What do you think? Can we say public sector became quite diversified and became quite significant in the Indian economy? Yes or no? So obviously answer was yes. Second thing, do you think basic industrial base was created in the country, like the industries to make iron, steel, coal, etc. and machinery, significantly industries were established? Yes or no? So again answer is yes. So government made assessment of industry and government found that yes, we have made significant investment in public sector. So public sector has become quite large and basic industrial structure has been created in the country. But there was one important, very important problem. Which was that problem? Can you give me answer in one word, one or two words? So which was the main problem? So problem in one or two words. Can you give me answer? So answer of both question was yes. Yes, it is correct. But now what was the problem? The problem was that public sector became quite large, quite diversified also. It created industrial base, but the problem was that it was very inefficient. Not only public sector, private sector was also inefficient. And what was the reason for inefficiency? Now, can anybody give me reason why the industrial sector, both private and public, were very inefficient? Inefficient means cost was high. So what was problem? Problem actually industrial sector was inefficiency. Inefficiency means high cost. Cost of production was very high. And can you tell me reason for high cost? The reason for high cost was lack of competition. Yes, some of you have given answer. Lack of competition. This happened because of actually lack of competition. So government realized that eliminating competition will not help economy. So competition we have to take care of. And why competition was restricted? Because of licensing policy. Because company which will get license can only produce. Other industry cannot produce. So only few companies got license, only they can produce. And if few companies are there, so I told you already, if they have two strategies, one is to compete among themselves or collaborate, which one they will prefer? If let us suppose there are 5-6 companies are there in a particular sector, so they have two strategies: compete among themselves or collaborate. Which do you think they will prefer? I have told you already. So they will prefer collaboration. So industries made cartelization actually was there. So cartels convert a oligopoly into a monopoly, as I told you already. And apart from that, in some cases they collaborated, and in case where one company is major, it used to take over other companies, so it established monopolies. So monopolies were established. This was the problem. I think got the point here. So government, to overcome this problem, what government did? So government mentioned this selective liberalization. Selective liberalization of industrial policy. So government realized that competition is restricted because that is why efficiency is low, and low efficiency means high cost. So government started selective liberalization of industrial policy. Okay, example. To mention, licensing norms were liberalized. Licensing norms were liberalized or eased. So government initiated one concept of broad banding of licenses. What is broad banding? So broad banding of license means कि if you have license to make any product, you can make similar products also. For example, if you have a license to make, let us suppose motorcycles, you can also make scooters. Clear? So you can make similar products. That is broad banding of licenses. Some industries were delicensed also. So licensing restrictions reduced so that competition should increase. Clear? Apart from that, there were some acts which were very rigid acts, which imposed some restriction on large companies like MRTP Act. So MRTP Act was somewhat eased or liberalized. I will discuss MRTP Act just after this in next section. Ajay, Divyansh, notes will be uploaded after class. Just I have shared. In the break itself, I have shared the notes. So maybe after class, those will be uploaded. Okay. MRTP Act liberalized. So MRTP Act I will discuss separately. Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practices Act. Apart from that, industrial imports were permitted. Industrial imports were permitted. So industries were allowed to buy, better quality of machinery or imported inputs to increase productivity. Okay, industrial imports were permitted. So like in machinery and raw material was permitted. In general, restrictions was there on imports, so that remained. But industrial imports were by and large liberalized. Consumer imports were not much liberalized by government. So industrial imports were somewhat liberalized here. Okay, so main thing is that government started liberalization, but it was not a major liberalization, it should be clear. Major liberalization came in 1991 only. This was a minor liberalization. So we started liberalization of our industrial policy in 1980 only. Okay, so liberalization started in 1980. Okay, but that was minor. Okay, major liberalization came in 91. Do you think it was, did it improve the performance of industry? Yes or no? What do you think? So answer is yes. So industrial productivity, industrial growth increase. So earlier in 80s, so in 80s, growth of industry was close to 75%. 7.5%, sorry, 7.5%. Earlier in 1970s, actually growth was 5%. So growth of industry increased from 5 to 7.5%, more than 7.5 rather. Okay, so industrial growth picked up significantly because liberalization worked. Okay, so these, but as I told you, basic framework was provided by Industrial Policy Resolution of 1956. Now, the most important actually policy is the policy of 1991. Okay, so how many policies? 4 policies we have discussed. Now, 5th policy. 5th is new industrial policy 1991. New industrial policy 1991. This policy is still the latest policy. Okay, government has announced Make in India and other scheme, that is just addition to this. Okay, so basic policy is this only. Now government is planning to replace this policy by a new policy that is not yet finalized. Okay, so still it is the relevant and current policy. Okay, so I will discuss in detail. To new industrial policy. So what is the main scope of this policy? New industrial policy. New industrial policy 1991 policy. So what was the main objective? To mention this thing, it was part of economic reforms of 1991. It was part of economic reforms of 1991. That is, it was based on LPG. It was based on liberalization, privatization and globalization. It was based on liberalization, privatization and globalization. Okay. Now, next point, mention this thing, it seeks to enhance competitiveness of, competitiveness of industrial sector. It seeks to enhance competitiveness of industrial sector by by providing larger market orientation. By providing larger market orientation and providing competitive stimulus to the industrial sector. So Taruna, please you may log out. Okay, so it seeks to provide what? Two things, market orientation and competitive stimulus to the industrial sector. This was the approach. Okay, Taruna, Rayar, you may log out of the class. Okay, so just I will take 5 more minutes because I am running short of time, so at least 5 to 10 minutes extra I have to take. Otherwise, you have to focus more on notes. Okay, so what I have dictated, it seeks to enhance competitiveness of industry and efficiency in industry. How? Two things. One is market orientation. So LPG policy will give market orientation. Okay, so two approaches were there main, and this is approach of economic reforms also. So one is market orientation. I told you market orientation means production is based on demand and supply. Okay, and when this will work? When government will adopt liberal policy. Because if government will dictate that you should produce this much only or quota may be fixed, then production cannot be more. So LPG policy will enable markets to operate. Well, and we have discussed already where markets are more efficient because of private sector, self-interest, and because of competition, efficiency improves. One thing. Second is competitive stimulus. What is this? Competitive stimulus. Now, what is meaning? There were two strategies of this, and this is the strategy of economic reforms of 1991. One is market orientation based on LPG policy, and second competitive stimulus. So, what is meaning of competitive stimulus? Just write down in one word on this. Competitive stimulus means gradually exposing domestic industry to competition. Okay, gradually just mention competitive stimulus means gradually exposing domestic industry to competition. Okay, how? Now just make this diagram. So how gradually exposing domestic industry to competition. This diagram will make it, this example will make it clear. Let us suppose Indian company. Okay, write it very clear because without this it will be difficult to. Let us suppose the cost in India, the overall the price of Indian product is 20 rupees, and foreign company MNC is selling the same product in 10 rupees. Okay, now what is the components here? Let us suppose cost is 15 rupee and profit is 5 rupees. Okay, 15 rupee cost, 5 rupee profit. So 20 rupee was the price. Just write it down. And for foreign company, cost may be 9 rupee and profit is 1 rupee. Okay, now can you give me answer? Can you give me answer why cost was high? I think very easy. So I think everybody can tell me why cost was high. If MNC can produce same thing in 9 rupee, why Indian company needed 15 rupee? Because it was inefficient, because it was using the outdated machinery, technology, and even compliance cost was much higher. The taking license, compliances, etc., giving bribes to officers, etc. So that is why cost was high. So I repeat once more, why if a foreign company is making in 9, so why the cost was 15? The reason was that the machinery was not up to the mark here. Okay, technology, etc. And there is no need also not there because of lack of competition. So no need was there. Clear? Why it was high. Now second thing, why profit was high here? Now in one word, can you give me answer? Yes, all of you are correct here. So why profit was high in India? In one word. So answer is because of lack of competition. Nobody can say, let us suppose this company may have monopoly here, or maybe few companies who have made cartel. So they know that if anybody want to buy, they will buy from us. Even we will charge 20, people will buy because people will not have any choice because imports were not allowed and MNCs were not allowed. So this was the condition. So why, got the point here? I repeat once more. Why cost was more? Because of outdated technology, because of too much compliance cost, bribes, etc., lack of infrastructure, etc., ease of doing business, low ease of doing business. Because of that, cost was high, and no need for reducing cost because of lack of competition. And second reason why profit was more, because of lack of competition. They could have charged any price. This was the reason. Now what government did? Government opened up the economy. A foreign company was allowed to sell in India, but government allowed this company to sell and impose some higher taxes so that it cannot sell in 10 rupee, it can sell in 16 in India. So it was allowed in India. Okay. In India with restrictions. In India with some restrictions like high taxes. Okay. So if foreign product is allowed in India, like through imports or through MNCs, then what will happen? Indian companies cannot sell in more than 16 now. Now it will be what? It will be 15 rupee cost and profit will reduce to how much? 1 rupee only. So profit will reduce for Indian company. Okay, in 91 immediately. Okay, so what will happen? Profit will reduce. Second, after next year, what government did? Government further reduce some taxes or restrictions so that it can sell in 15 rupee. Now, Indian company have to reduce it to 15. So it will be what? It will be 15 plus 0. Okay, 15 plus 0. Now 15 cost and profit will be 0. It means that if this company want to stay in the market, it has to reduce cost. Only then it can earn profit. Okay, so can I say here that government created do or die situation for the company, domestic companies. Next year it may be 14. Okay, next year it may be 14. So it has to, now it will incur loss here. So two things were there. So first very important point here is that do or die situation. Either you improve efficiency, reduce your cost. Either you should reduce your cost, otherwise you will be wiped out from competition. So you know there is a saying that necessity is mother of invention. Got the point? Until there is need, nobody will improve. This is one thing. Okay, one point, a point. Second thing is that government said, you know, if this company can produce in 9 rupee, why you cannot? Why you are spending 15 rupee? You will say that you don't have the latest machinery. Government said no problem. You should import the best technology, best machinery. Got the point? If you want to use any technology, patented technology, just use the patent technology. At the most you have to pay royalty, and we are imposing higher taxes on that. Second thing, if you say that in India interest rates are high, okay, you should borrow from abroad. Got the point? So government allowed Indian companies to import machinery, best machinery. Government allowed them to use best technology, production technology. Government allowed to import any raw material at low custom duty. Government allowed Indian companies to borrow from abroad at low interest. So on the other hand, can I say government enabled Indian companies to reduce cost? So second thing is that government enabled domestic companies to reduce cost. How enabled? By enabling them to import machinery, by enabling them to import raw material, by enabling them to import, borrow from abroad. Got the point? You may mention if you want. Enabled domestic companies to reduce cost by allowing them to import machinery, the technology, the patented technology, the raw materials, okay, borrowing from abroad, and even restrictions somewhat reduce. Licensing, etc., permit quota reduce here. So compliance costs automatically reduce. So government said if this company can produce in 9, why you cannot in 9? Okay, so at the most you have to pay, when you use the best technology, patent technology, you have to pay royalty. So we are imposing some additional taxes here on this company. So government actually gradually exposed the domestic industry to competition. And two things were kept in mind. One thing is that creating do or die situation, and second, enabling domestic companies to improve efficiency. Okay, because without this you will not survive. So do you think this was the strategy of economic reforms of 1991? So do you think is it correct or not? So obviously this was very successful. That is why Indian economy actually became quite competent. Because if government would have opened up immediately, like initially from 20 to 14, then Indian company would have shut down. So what government did? Government gradually exposed to competition. This is called competitive stimulus. Clear? Gradually exposing the domestic industry to competition, and at the same time to enabling them to reduce cost. So two approaches were there in this. Okay, one is this competitive stimulus, other is market orientation by LPG policy, which I have already discussed how it will improve efficiency. That was the reason that efficiency, productivity increase in India, and India became one of the fastest growing economy. So I have discussed what the approach of this policy and economic reforms, because this is also the most important part of economic reforms. Okay, in next class I will discuss with features of this policy, okay, and other topics. So please go through notes I have shared now. So maybe in 1 hour most probably notes will be shared. So please go through that and we'll continue tomorrow.